Hey, shalom, shalom. And first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim out here pushing this gospel in truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh Bahashem Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Shai, Lord willing, fall upon all your houses. It's the brother Corner Walk come back at you, Lord will, with, another edifying lesson through the spirit and power, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Shai. But hey, man, there's just so much going on, man. It's hard really to go into all of it, man. You only got so much time in a day, but nonetheless, I was scrolling through, RT, man, and I had seen this little article right here, man, and it's ultimately just another, in a different area, uproars of the people, man. We've seen, over the past couple of years, man, there's been so much, and in different countries or in different states or whatever it may be, uproars of the people, man, for different reasons, man. But more recently, those reasons have been because, sort of anti-government, because ultimately the government is, making decisions, which highly impact the people when it comes to, wages or making decisions on, people being able to get food or anything like that. Iran and Iraq, even I can't remember the exact other place, but a lot of them are doing like digital rationing and stuff like that. When it comes to food and water, making it harder for the people to be able to get food and water. So you got a lot of these things going on, man, and these people, especially the lower class, man, are rioting, because it hinders them from being able to get what they need, man. So these are real reasons of why these uproars of the people are happening, right? And I'm not going to go into this article, man, but again, it just basically touches on basically what I just said, man. The reasons why this is happening, which you can ultimately go on the RT app if you have the app, and you can find this one, this article, but yeah, or you can type in the header, you'll ultimately be able to, see it. But I'll just read the header real quick. It says, Iraqi protesters storm parliament again, right? So they've done it in the past, and this is just the second time, man, But nonetheless, I don't want to make this too long, quick, straight to the point, man. But yeah, man, this uproars of the people, which which again are part of the signs of this world coming to an end, right? So let's go ahead and grab that. Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest a part of the signs past which I told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest began to visit the world which he made, right, man? Hey, the Lord Yahweh Shai, is he's in control of all things, man. So he's ultimately causing these governments to basically move in a certain way, which highly affects the people, right? As it says in Proverbs 21:1, it says the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord, man. And as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will, right? So the Lord Yahweh Shai, is basically furthering prophecy, man. Because this is prophecy, right? That these signs would ultimately come abroad, and we would know, what time we were in, right? So he's having these governments, starting with the elites on down to these individual governments, basically make these moves, which again highly affect the people, man. When it comes to food, water, financial, situations and so on and so forth, man. Which again causes those uproars, which again lets us know the times that we're in, right? It says right here, verse 3 says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people, right? And we saw, I want to say last year, you saw that massive earthquake, which is I guess a great, memorable point that happened, last year, last year, I think it was Haiti. They had that earthquake where I think it was maybe thousands upon thousands of people either dead, injured, or displaced from their homes because of a massive earthquake that had happened, man. We've seen earthquakes. You can go on I think it was earthquaketracker.org or something like that, man, and it'll show you all the earthquakes that happened, in the past year or couple years, something like that, man. And it's it's a lot, man. We're talking about thousands of earthquakes, man. Whether they be from, like a 2.4 all the way to like a 5 point something or 6 point something, and they're happening, man, right? And here's the point where it says uproars of the people, right? And we just had a major uproar of the people happen, which displaced, the local government, and ultimately, had basically a new president, come in and, take over, man. Which we ultimately know, why, brothers was going into it, how, this new president of Sri Lanka or India, had came in there, and he's part of the World Economic Forum and so on and so forth. So we ultimately know, it was Esau Edom that caused that situation in order to bring in somebody who's going to, follow their agenda, right? Which it ultimately goes all the way back to Yahweh Shemel Shah, man. Again, he's furthering prophecy by having these situations happen. But nonetheless, the uproar still, the uproar that happened because of that situation still allows us to know the times that we're in, right? Right? But just as that happened, hey, guess what? Now we're seeing, the Iraqi parliament being stormed again as well, man. Thousands of people, coming up and storming, this government, man. And we started to see, the January 6th, I think it was 2020 or 2021, that happened here in America. You started to see, a lot of this happen in France, Germany, and many other places, man. Many other places in the past few years, man. And it's only going to get worse from here, right? It's only going to get worse from here because ultimately these situations, these uproars of people, is going to build to an even worse situation, which is going to lead to the second Esdras, the 15th chapter, which I'm going to finish this out, and then we'll move on, right? Verse 3 again says, "Therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." That's right, man. Because the end is manifest, from the beginning, right? So all these things were ultimately foreordained to take place, man, right? So now let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, because again, all these things are going to ultimately lead and spill over into that, to the sedition, among men, right, where everything's just going to get worse, man. The shortages, the food shortages, are ultimately going to get worse. The inflation is ultimately going to get worse. Shrinkflation is going to get worse. So on and so forth. All these things are ultimately going to get worse, which is going to cause the people to ultimately pick up arms, man. And there was an article I read, not too long ago that, what is it? One of every 3 Americans, basically 1/3 of America, thinks, that they, it is very likely they will take up arms against the government, man. So that's the time that we're coming into where it's ultimately going to be to that point, man. 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse 14, we'll start right there. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." Right, man. And we saw, again, another depiction of that, in Kazakhstan, man. Which it was uproars of the people, but then it got to the point where they were picking up arms, against each other, fighting against, those that were for the government and those that were against the government. We saw them picking up arms, fighting each other, man. They were beheading cops, in the streets and so on and so forth, man. It was bloody, it was gruesome, right? And it was to the point where somebody, another, outside government, had to come in and establish that order, man. And that's very well what's going to take place here in America, man. Because all these things that we see, that are happening in the world, the worst of it is going to happen here in America, man. And we believe that through the Spirit, man. Verse 16 says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Right, man. And again, we're seeing a very, a snippet, or a tidbit of these things happening when it comes to the, the uproars of the people, man. They don't give a fuck. When you read that article, the one I just had pulled up, that was in RT. Hey, what they do, man? They bypass security. They bypass that, the local, I guess you want to call it local military that was guarding the parliament, man. That it was just so many people, that they ended up pulling down these cement walls that were around the parliament, pulled them down, just rushed it, man. They didn't give a shit, man. Whether they were to get killed or not, man. They did, they're fed up, they're tired, of what's going on, man. And again, it's only going to get worse, man. Soon they're actually going to pick up arms, man. They're going to pick up, these guns and different kinds of weapons, man, and actually fight against the governments, man. It says, verse 17, and this is proof, man, because there's going to have to be an outside source that's going to have to come in and ultimately stop, or set, bring, to try and bring again that order, right? This is verse 17. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able," right? And we believe through the Spirit that when these things hit America, and again, obviously we know America's gonna have, the worst portion of it. We believe that the UN is going to be that, that outside force that comes in and establishes these sort of these roadblocks and, these curfews and so on and so forth, man. Because if you have the America's military, you got a lot of them. Obviously, they live here, man. So they're not gonna want to fight against their own people. They're gonna be like, hey, I don't want to fight against my cousin or my brother or this, that, and the third. So they're not end up gonna having to do it, man. A lot of the military is just gonna stop. They're not gonna fight, right? So then they're gonna lose a lot of that power. So they're gonna have to go to another source, man. And why not just go to another source from the beginning, right? So it's going to be, through the Spirit, we believe it's going to be the UN that's going to be that outside force that's going to come in and basically set order again in America, or try to set order again in America, right? It says right here, verse 18 says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid," right? They're going into, again, Jacob's trouble, man. You can read it in Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, reading from verse 5 all the way down, to verse 7, man. That it's not going to be a time, of, happiness and joy, man. We're talking about, from your largest, the most manliest man in the world, and he's going to be in straits, man. Women, children, and everybody's going to be in straits, man. It's not going to be a pleasant time, man. And it's going to be all coupled with, Esau, Edom coming down, having great wrath, as it says in Revelations 12:12, man. Trying to ultimately force his chip there. You got to have, the MO to the TB being pushed. You're going to have famines, earthquakes, and uproars of the people as well, man. It's going to be very, very, very bad. Scriptures call it, say that it's going to be a day like no other, man. Roughly paraphrasing the scriptures, man. But I'm going to finish this verse and we'll get out of here. Verse 19, it says, "That man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation," right, man? Proving that there's going to still be, in that time, there's still going to be these famines, which are going to be, absolute at that time, man. No food, no water. You're not going to know what the fuck to do, But again, the uproars of the people that are happening right now are just a snapshot, or a tidbit, or a snippet, whatever kind of words you want to use, man, of what is to come, man. They're a foreshadow of what's to come, and it's only going to get worse from there, So I just want to bring that out. Lord wills, edifying, Lord wills, straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushua, Ba'ashim, Rachak, double belongs to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushua, Lord, one for upon 8 houses. Want to say shalom. Till next time.